Something that's on my mind. Several school districts across the country returning to phonics-based instruction to help children learn to read. This as child literacy rates are falling nationwide. Only 35% of fourth graders were found reading on grade level in 2019. And experts fear post-COVID numbers will be worse. We can almost guarantee they're worse. Mary Cantwell and Brooke Uten are co-founders of Enriched Literacy Education. Write that down. You're going to want to look it up when we get done. All right, tell me, how did we get away from phonics-based learning?
So thanks so much for having us, Dana. Over the last 30 years, there's been a movement away from phonics. Phonics is what I remember growing up with, learning that each letter makes a sound and putting those sounds together to make words. There was a real push to get away from that because that was seen as, not as sexy, sort of very rote learning, memorization. And so, administrators, teachers, people that develop curriculum started to move towards a balanced literacy approach. And what that is saying, here's a book, take a look at the book, look at the pictures, see if you can use the first letter of the words on the page to guess what they say, and therefore you're becoming a reader. It was essentially to try to empower students to think of themselves as readers. It was well-intentioned.
And it did not work. And so what is the scope and scale of the consequences of this?
The consequences are huge for our country, Dana. Your involvement with the criminal justice system in the United States is directly correlated to how well you can read. If we don't fix this problem quickly, we have illiteracy rates all across the nation. If we don't fix this quickly, our incarceration rates will go up, our taxes will go up, crime will spike. This will put such taxes on our healthcare system. I mean, the ramifications are pretty significant for our country.
And over the years, school districts have spent a ton of money on this new way of reading, and now they have, I think, 96, or let's just call it 95% of the funds that were given to education during COVID are not spent. So is there a movement for school districts to return to phonics-based learning?
There definitely is an emphasis on that now. I mean, there was a study done where Mississippi actually adopted phonics-based learning, and it was the only state to make progress with their literacy rates that year. So it's shown that it works. There was Lucy Calkins developed the Readers and Writers Workshop. That is essentially a balanced literacy approach. She's come out now very publicly and said, I'm going to implement a much stronger phonics emphasis in my curriculum. That's a curriculum that, New York City in particular spent thousands of dollars on implementing in schools. Now we're realizing it didn't work. So that's come to the fore as well. Schools across the country are targeting phonics.
Oakland is one of those school districts, and here's a teacher that said to Time magazine that there have been choices made where our children were not in the center. We abandoned what worked because we didn't like how it felt to us as adults, when actually the social justice thing to do is to teach them explicitly how to read. Now, when you and I talked on a podcast for foxnews.com, you then got some messages from parents across the country who are worried and upset about their children. And I can't get those out of my mind. Some of them saying that there's third grader, fifth grader, sixth grader can't read. The schools aren't doing well enough. They're embarrassed because they can't read. And I just wonder if you're a parent and you are worried about your kid, or maybe you're a teacher saying, how do we get away from this nonsense learning of way to learn and back to phonics? Where can they go? What's the resource?
Indeed. Dana, I just sent you 4 out of scores of messages. Neurobiologically, learning to read is one of the hardest endeavors a human being will undertake in their lifetime. These skills have to be taught. Children are not being taught these skills in school. They have no word attack strategies. They cannot write grammatically correct sentences. Parents really need to take action.
So how do they do that?
They can emphasize, put an importance on reading and education in their household. Start from the earliest of learners, singing your ABC songs, working on phonemic awareness, even getting the refrigerator magnets with the alphabet on them. Let your children play. Talk about, this is the letter B. The B says B. If they cannot afford to hire outside tutoring, go to their school district, go to their schools, sign up for any free after-school programs at their libraries. There are many foundations out there offering support for children.
And your website is?
We are www.enrichednyc.com, and you can sponsor a child under the link for Onwards.
Well, I'm obsessed with this issue, and I'm going to keep talking about it. Mary and Brooke, thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.